Bruce, here. I don't know how somebody got this. But it says, then to all bar members and third-party agents acting in and for the following. The Crown of England, and that's where the head of the beast is. The United Nations, that's where they drug us in, was through the United Nations to England. The United States, the Treasury of the United States, the Federal Reserve, the Internal Revenue Service, the Bureau of Alcohol and Firearms, Federal Bureau of Investigation, the United States Postal Service, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, the 5th U.S. Army. You wonder why that is? Because Texas has been held in captivity by the 5th Army. That's what it's about. That's why you have the 5th Circuit in your court system, is they work with the 5th Army. The state of Texas, the state of New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, Oklahoma, and Kansas. Now, if you live in another state, I believe I'd take those off and put my state there. And I have to tell people that because they'll just leave the document just like that. They don't read it. I, Jackrabbit Patriot, now and forever declare all the third-party agents for the above so named as incompetent, and I presently and permanently revoke their power of attorney for representing or making any legal determinations for me in any of my affairs. You are now fired. Return the voucher to me immediately. What that's simply saying is return the receipt to me. Return all those papers to me immediately. It is hereby demanded and ordered by the sovereign, Jackrabbit Patriots, that all parties cease and desist all future actions and those trespassing on the land of Texas without specific permission from the People's Certified Republic government are demanded to leave this land or be subject to the sovereign Texian people's courts. You see, once the governor starts getting all these things, they have nowhere to go because they better, otherwise they accept this and they got a problem. And they have to accept it. They don't have a choice. You see, in 1845, a corporate charter was set up in Texas. The people did not change. The land did not change. They simply put a corporate government in place. And a corporate government, you realize that you as people, I don't know if you've noticed it, but you really don't have anything to say about what they do in Washington or down in Austin. You have nothing. How many million people have marched on Washington on one issue? And what happened? Nothing. It got worse. Because they do not take an oath to uphold the Constitution. There is no Constitution in Texas except the Constitution, and it's that way in all states. The original Constitution is the only Constitution that's certified for that state. The 1836 Constitution is the only Constitution in effect in the state of Texas, or in the land of Texas. This is a reason that it must come back to this thing. In a republic, and we're in the process now of going to an interim government. And what is happening is, in an interim government, it starts going back to the government that the people will use. And they have to decide that. Every time we start doing something, there's this fear factor because they've seen in the past what happens. But this interim government totally turns this whole thing back to the people. And it says, now it's yours. There'll be one person elected from each county. There's 317 counties. One person from each county. You say, well, Dallas has a lot more people. They should have more. No, that's a democracy. That is not a republic. What has happened? What has made Dallas grow? What has made Houston grow? What has made San Antonio grow? They get all those representatives and they get together and they steal all the money to take into their districts. And all these other little districts get nothing. So equal representation is in a republic is one person. And so each county will have one person. And they will come together and write their constitution and they will declare their law, but they cannot make laws against the rights of the people. Never has been, and the government you have now doesn't make those laws against your rights. They make them against federal citizens and territories. They have the right to do that. But you come along and you say, well, they're talking to me. I elected him. I beg your pardon, you didn't elect anyone. You see, those people are the board of directors of a corporation, your Congress is, and they do not take the oath to uphold the Constitution. We found this out, and that's how they get around doing everything. They're not subject to anything. They're sovereign. And so you got 400, I don't know how many in the thing up in Washington. Then your president is your chief executive officer, and your vice president is chief executive. That's all that's elected. The rest of them are appointed by him. So if you'll think of this, of your government, and you'll kind of understand why they've done to us what they've done. See, they're not subject to all those laws that they write for you. Only when they cross the system, in other words, when they do something against the system, like this guy from Ohio that came out against the IRS, and they clobbered him, threw him in prison, and he was a congressman. But as long as you stay within the system and vote the way they want, you can vote either way on issues, but the system is just, it's a democracy, and a democracy is mob rule. Is 51% gets to kill the other 50 on whatever issue they're talking about. And so anyway, but on this lady was in a fight for her property. I'm not going to tell you her name. I don't want to put out someone's name. But her middle name's Jeanette, as you'll see. But she did this, and the letter she wrote, or the email she sent me, was just, I like it. And she's so ecstatic she doesn't know what to do. She's over there now going around. She went down and got into the records down there and got everybody that was getting their property foreclosed. And she had said, found out is a bunch of her own neighbors. And she went to them and said, hey, I can help you. And they said, and their pride is so bad. We're taking care of that. Nobody in the neighborhood knew they were going through that. So anyway, she is up there now causing a lot of waves, and she's getting people together and starting to help them. She said, this is a jewel. She's talking about this document we sent to her. I had it notarized in a little town a few miles away at the police station. Isn't that funny? And because she knew people there, and so they wanted to help her, and was witnessed by a couple of my friends. Then hand-delivered to the sheriff, county treasurer, judge of the county court, clerk of the court, who authorized the sale, trustee of the mortgage, who is also the attorney for the same, and the controller of the state, along with the notarized bond and other pertinent documentation. The next day at auction sale, I had people ready with notices to pass out that I had prepared. We were there early. No one showed for the sale. No sheriff or officials of any kind, and the time ended without one bid from anyone, not even a phone bid. See, there was a secretary in there, but the treasurer did not show up. I cannot tell you how surprised and relieved I was. I'm sure this document had a great deal to do with it, if not everything. Thanks to all of you that have helped me. You're indeed good friends, and I've never met the lady, but she's a good friend. And I know I am learning from the best of the best. If there is anything I can do for any of you, please don't hesitate to call on me. So I'll find out you, and I'll give her your name, and then all y'all can call her. That wouldn't be very good. But really, there is a lot more times that these things work than they don't. There's a lot more times. I can tell you about 15 people up in Oregon that they still have their house. And it doesn't mean they're not still fighting for it, but they can't get them out. And so all this other, as they call me, I'm faxing them copies of this, and I say, one little black lady over in South Carolina, name's Eloise, and hers was really kind of mixed up. You know how Jim Walters works. They come sneaking in, they say, you got any land, we'll build you a house, and you have to put the land up as collateral. And so they were going to take her house. And she's really getting into it. I mean, it's been about 8 months now. They've been after her, and they can't get her to come out, get out of the house. And so every time she goes to the cell, and they won't bring her house up. And so she said this police came by the other day, and she said he really was belligerent to her and threatening her and doing all that. And she said, that bothered me a little bit, but he said when he got onto my granddaughter and started threatening her, he said, then I got mad. And I told him, get off my property. And so anyway, he left. And so I gave her these documents, and I said, now, make sure you put his name on there specifically that he's fired, and hand deliver it to him. And I said, you're going to see a change in a policeman, because now he is the servant. He's your servant. And you'll be able to clobber him. And so and there's a group over there, and so I got the group to work with her. And you know, when you're helping someone like that, every time you get a phone call from them, you're saying, oh, God, they lost their house or something. And they'll say, well, I went down today and they didn't take it, and nobody would buy it. But then there's some people that want these things. And you see where there's so much money made on this. Think about what they're doing to you. You go in and you create the credit. The bank takes charge of that credit. They start charging you interest. That's usury. That's your interest. That's your credit, not theirs. They did not give you that. They can charge interest on anything they loan to you. But they have nothing they loan you. It's your credit. And then what happens is you pay on that thing for 20 years. Majority of what you're paying is the interest, isn't it? So you pay the interest, you pay this thing all these years, and then all of a sudden you get fired, you work for Enron, and the next thing you know, you're out of a job. And so you can't make the payment on your house. Out they come to take your house. And I told you last week how to really, if you'll do that, they can never take your house. But anyway, they come out and they take it. Why? Because you left that promissory note laying on that banker's desk, and you let him have the original. And so now he's going to use that. And so as long as he has it, he can do it. But if you'll file a UCC-1 against it, claim against it, now it belongs to you. You're the only one that can take it and do anything with it. They have to move past your UCC-1. And this was brought out in a case in Washington. And I'm not going to name you the cases. I've learned a long time ago to quit doing that. Because when you do that, all of a sudden, all these agencies come pounce on that person at one time, charging them with all kinds of things, and they overwhelm them. And so you don't, if they want to if they want me to tell you who it is, then I'll tell them. But it was a man in Washington who did that, and so when the time came to go to court, he simply gave the papers filed them into the court, and the judge looked at that thing, and he told the attorney, he said, fella, before you're going to take this man's house, you're going to have to pay him $233,000 for this promissory note. He has first claim on it. And you're going to have to pay him the down payment that he made. It's listed on his UCC-1 here. He has first claim on it. And you're going to have to produce a deed of trust. He has claim on that deed of trust. And he said, and then this man has paid in, I think he said, $67,000 over the years. And you're going to have to give that $67,000 back to him before you can take charge of this house. Now, do you still want the house? And the attorney really started getting belligerent about it, and the judge says, one more word, and you're going to be in contempt. The man keeps his house, and this is my order. That if you want it, this is what you have to do. Now I'll ask you a question. In the courtroom, when the judge gives out court costs, who is he telling to pay the court costs? The attorneys. The attorney has to take his checkbook to court with him. He'll throw the attorney in jail if he don't pay the court costs before he leaves. What does the court do, though, is they will put into their order that you're to pay the court costs. Why don't you pay it to the court? Why do they have you paying it to the attorney? To pay him back, see, for what he's already had to pay. So fully on his thing, let him pay them. He's got to pay those. Really, they'll throw him in jail. If he don't pay the court costs before he leaves that room, that judge will have him arrested. Because somebody got to pay for him. He ain't getting out of there. If he brought the charges, he's going to pay it. That's just a side bit.
Talking about the prosecuting attorney,
right? Yeah. He can be the prosecutor, or he can be the. You'd be surprised how much that what the judge is saying is not to you at all. That he's literally talking to the attorneys. We can all leave the courtroom, but he's not talking to you. He's talking to the attorneys. So anyway, let's start with the questions. And if you have any questions about the document, please write it down and let me see them, and we'll see if we can answer them. If a lease has been broken and judgment results, can a bond be issued to satisfy the judgment? Do you give it to the judge? Yes, and you give it to who has issued the judgment. See, at the point the judge gives that judgment, if you accept the judgment, you then become an incompetent person. And so you have to do something with the judgment at that point. And give him a bond, and then give him these papers, and declare him incompetent. You made the wrong judgment, Judge. Huh? I don't think there's no volume to it. That's my voice, and it's hard right now to turn the volume up. I'm sorry, it's hard to speak to the.
It's not a PA system.
We probably may have to get one of those one of these days. But anyway, I'm sorry if that you can, if you will, get tapes, and then you can hear it real easy. Says, I sent a bond to David Childs, Dallas County tax assessor, for payment of property tax. Last week I received another bill with no mention of my bond. I am going to send the following written in red ink dialing across the bill. Thank you for your dishonor of my bond. Registered mail number so-and-so. Dated so-and-so. Accepted, and you need to put in here, accepted as true. Not just accepted, but accepted as true. And I am returning it to you for discharge and closure in this matter. See attachment. And notice that you're exactly right. Whoever did this is the way it should be. So, for states that have a state income tax, how's that stopped from being taken out by check? You do it the same way. They follow the federal. They follow the federal rules. It's just a state income tax written off of the federal income tax rules. But all of them follow the UCC law. They're not following, you think they're following statutes, but they're not. They're following UCC law, which is you have a contract. You have a contract, you pay me. And that's all it's saying. After you bond a credit card and they still send you a monthly statement, do you write across the statement, except send them this. Said it, no, do not put on there paid ACR June 5th, 1933. Just put this, what I gave you tonight, on there, and send them a copy of the sovereignty issue. I got a ticket from Bedford. Do I send the original bond to the judge? No. or to the city of Bedford. No. Send it to the mayor. Find out the mayor's name and send it to him. Also, once you bond a traffic ticket, how can you find out if they issue a warrant? That is, once you do the bond and you send it to the mayor, I don't think you're ever going to see that come out. The ones we've done where we sent them to the mayor, where we tried sending them to the you can either do it to the mayor or to the policeman that issued you the ticket. One of the two, but not to the judge. Judge has nothing to do with it. He's just enforcing whatever that policeman has a summary judgment on you. And so you send them the bond. You either send it to him or to the and we sent them to the mayor, and it stopped it. In fact, I had one mayor call and he said, I had nothing to do with that bond. I had nothing to do with that traffic ticket. But the traffic ticket disappeared. So he did have something to do with it.
Mail to the mayor and the policeman?
Yeah. Mail the original, though, to the mayor. And then mail a copy to the policeman. I filed UCC concerning traffic tickets from the two towns. They ignored it. So I filed your suggestion for sending them both my bond. My question is, if they all have a warrant for my arrest, is my next step to go after their individual bonds? No. What you do if you find out there's a warrant is you write them a letter and you tell them, I understand that you have a warrant out for my arrest, and I'm going to accept it as true, and I'm going to return it to you for closure in this matter. You see, you do the same thing. You see, most people want to hide when they find out a warrant's on them. I always wrote to the judges, they'd say, I'm going to put a warrant out for your arrest, and I just write them a letter. I said, you're not going to put a warrant out for my arrest, so I don't give you permission. And they never did. As far as I know, they've never come out the house. They've never, when they stopped me, next time, they never arrested me, even brought that up. But you're the one that gives permission, and so when you find out there's a warrant, you can just write them a letter. If you don't know, and don't call down there and ask them if they got one. So you just write them and say, I had this traffic ticket, and I issued a bond for it. The traffic ticket has been discharged, and if you have a warrant out for my arrest, then I hereby accept your warrant as true, and I'm going to return it to you for closure. And then send them a copy of this document where you've declared that you're a sovereign, that you now can handle your own affairs, and then let them deal with it. But as I tell everyone, anytime you start taking things away from these people, there's blood that's going to be spilled. And I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. Mine's been spilled a few times, and I know that everybody that's in here, I don't know of anyone, hardly, that hadn't gotten drugged down one time or another over something like this. So I did one time a long time ago. So now, what could Martha Stewart have done? The same thing you're doing. The same thing you're doing. See, it's hard for those people because where's their trust? In who? Attorneys. And the instant they get one, they're going to jail. Very, very few. Now, I don't know, did Martha Stewart get convicted? Well, she got indicted, and they said, well, we don't believe she can get, they're playing that game. I don't believe it. But what happens is the day before, or the Friday before they start the trial, the judge will destroy her attorney's case totally. He'll come in there. If they want to put her in jail, he'll bring all the attorneys in. They say, we will not bring up anything in my court except this, 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 and this. And you can't bring up what would get her off. So she goes in there, and her attorney don't tell her, and her attorney just leads her down the primrose path, and then all of a sudden she's in jail. And if it's about making a lot of money off of it, I guarantee you they're going to get her in one way or the other, because that's all it's about. What about the oath military members take to support the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic? Constitution of the United States of America. That's what they should state. But see, there is no Constitution for the United States. It's a corporate charter. It always has been. I had documents. I wished that I had not shown them, these people, and kept quiet. Evidently that place had walls, and I had ears in the walls, and so I was showing them these documents about the Constitution and where it was first produced. I had one of them. There was 18 of them manufactured, or 18 of them were done. And everywhere that one of those showed up, they had burned the building down. Philadelphia got burned down 3 times, and it told the history of all of it. And it said the Constitution was never a Constitution. It wasn't written as a Constitution. It was written as a declaration. They knew if they wrote a Constitution, they would alter it. They would change the thing. So, but they couldn't change the Declaration. You've never seen the Declaration of Independence altered at all. You can't alter a declaration. But the Bar Association out in New York got a hold of that Constitution, and they started rewriting it. The Declaration started rewriting it as a Constitution, teaching people how to do it. And then they'd teach them how to take it back from the Constitution and make a declaration out of it. And this went on until the Civil War. And after the Civil War, it quit. And so there is no Constitution. It's a corporate charter. A corporation cannot have a Constitution. It can only have a charter. Do we need to list individual names like trustee? Yes. As trustee in a foreclosure sale on the third-party agents when we are firing? Yes. List as many names as you can list. But the first one you start with is the district attorney. You ought to have some fun sometimes and address those criminal district attorneys. And they're the ones that call themselves criminal district attorneys. Now, if they're criminal district attorneys, guess who all the attorneys are below them? Criminals too. Because they're the ones that say it. Says, Rice, have a funny, instructive, encouraging anecdote for the group. My dog plus animal control equals police. To TOE, who wrote this?
Joe Evelyn, right there.
Joe, you explain what you're saying. What is?
It was the animal control and the police started to play animal control and police on a Saturday noon of all times after hours, and ran them off. It was kind of an interesting little confrontation. And it was UCC and corporation, and they brought reinforcements in, and more cars arrived, but they wouldn't cross the property line. And the conversation was interesting.
Yeah, and Joe's been through it all. He got drug off one time. And so 3 days. And they'll always get you for 3 days and 2 hours because you have the right to reject their contract. So they hold you in there over 3 days so you can't reject their offer. Now the 3 days has passed. So now they can collect on the 3 days you were in jail. And they collect that from the county. Has anyone in this room used the bond with the IRS successfully? I've done it a lot of times. But I don't, I hear from 1 or 2 people, but we get letters back and they say, we received they won't say bond, but they received your correspondence and we're taking it under advisement and we'll let you know by, in 45 days or 30 days what we've decided. Yeah, and you do not have to respond. Does that sound like a mousetrap? The old mouse is going to get his tail chopped off if he don't respond. Because what did they say to you? Give us the permission to rule on this bond you sent to us, so after 30 days we can say it's no good and you still owe us. And you simply write across it, accept it. I accept this as true. And I'm returning it to you for closure in this matter. Yes.
I've got about 4 of those letters about every 45 to 60 days.
Yeah.
I started this back in October. Same thing.
Yeah.
You have to respond to that.
Yeah.
Thank you for your letter accepting terms of closure filling. And it's just like clockwork every
Yep. They don't want to give up, but if you got a fox, and that fox is a European fox, he's a British fox, and he snuck in over here, and he's going around robbing all the chickens. He's taking all their eggs. You know, why would he want to give it up? He has the queen telling him to do this. You know, you're letting them people go. But the queen and don't